Welcome to the First Grade Math Early Release Professional Development. Here is the placemat that grounds all of our work we do here in CMS. It helps to make sure we are all aligned in the core beliefs of the district mission, vision, goals and guardrails, and pillars of excellence. Our training today is aligned to the academic pillar of excellence. My name is Nikki Mackey, and I am one of the 6 elementary math curriculum specialists with learning and teaching here in CMS. Here are our session norms. Take a moment to read them. Let's take a look at our session learning outcomes. We will explore tasks and the vertical coherence you see. We will understand the story of Unit 3, and we will know how to navigate to the PLC deep dive for Unit 3. And you will gain knowledge about the purpose of the updated district provisioned resources. Please plan to do some math today and navigate IMCMS provisioned resources. Let's look at some math tasks. Please refer to the task on your note catcher. Take a few seconds to complete this task. Pause the video here and come back to chat about it. This is a task from Unit 3, Lesson 9, Activity 1. Students are choosing cards to build and write equations to understand the idea of 10 and some ones to make up a number. The standard that aligns with this task is NC1 NBT 2. Understand that 2 digits of a 2-digit number represent the amounts of tens and ones. Take a few seconds to read those 3 bullet points that fall under NC1 NBT 2. But how did we get here? Let's look back. Check out the second task on your note catcher. Where do you think this shows up? If you said kindergarten, you were correct. This is a Kindergarten Unit 6, Lesson 8 task. In Unit 3, students built on their work from kindergarten where they composed and decomposed teen numbers with 10 ones and some more ones. They learned that 10 ones is equivalent to a unit called a 10. They also do some relating with addition and subtraction with teen numbers. The standard that this task matches up with is NCK NBT 1. Let's look ahead at a future task. Which grade level do you think this shows up in? If you said first grade, you would be correct. So we're looking at a vertical coherence within the same grade level here. So first grade, Unit 4, Lesson 2 is where this activity shows up. And when we think about Unit 3, students use 10 frames and double 10 frames to understand and use the structure of 10. In Unit 4, students generalize the structure of 2-digit numbers in terms of the number of tens and ones. This understanding enables students to transition from counting by ones to counting by tens and then counting on. Students interpret and use multiple representations of 2-digit numbers in Unit 4. They'll use connecting cubes, base 10 diagrams, words, and expressions. Connecting cubes in towers of tens and singles are used instead of the base 10 blocks, which we will be using those in later grades, so that units of 10 can be physically composed and decomposed with the cubes. So don't worry about having those traditional base 10 blocks out now. Save those for a later date. We're not using those in this unit. The standard that matches this task is NCNBT 2. This time we are addressing that third bullet. Let's talk about the story of Unit 3. In this unit, students work towards adding and subtracting within 20 while building a deeper understanding of how numbers are composed and decomposed. A major focus is recognizing 10 ones as a unit called a 10 and using this structure to add and subtract efficiently. Students learn to see numbers in the form of 10 plus some ones, which supports flexible strategies such as making a 10, counting on, and decomposing numbers to find sums and differences. Students build on their kindergarten work with the teen numbers where they compose and decompose 11 through 19 into 10 ones and some more ones, and we just saw that in the looking back task. They also build on their earlier experiences with story problems within 10, where they represented quantities using drawings, equations, and tools like 10 frames and counters. This background helps them understand that the two sides of an equation represent equal values and prepares them to apply the relationship between addition and subtraction to larger numbers. In this unit, students practice decomposing and recomposing numbers to solve problems. For example, when adding 6 plus 9, they might break 6 into 1 and 5. They may combine the 1 with the 9 to make 10, and then 10 plus 5 is 15. Subtraction is woven in throughout the unit that becomes the main focus towards the end. Students use strategies like taking away, counting on, and thinking about subtraction as an unknown add-in problem. For instance, to solve 10 minus 6, they may reason that since 6 plus 4 is 10, the answer must be 4. Students also work with story problems throughout the unit, including the new to first grade problem types. Add to with change unknown, take from with change unknown, and compare difference unknown. They compare different problem structures to better understand how addition and subtraction are used in different contexts. In this unit, all the problem types will be within 20. So now we will be meeting the standard of NC1 OA1 to its full potential and NC1 OA6 to its full potential. Daily warm-ups such as number talks and how many do you see help reinforce making tens and seeing number relationships. Students engage in math centers designed to strengthen these skills, with opportunities to revisit familiar centers or explore new ones depending on their needs. By the end of the unit, students have a stronger foundation for flexible thinking with numbers within 20, and they are prepared to extend their understanding to larger numbers in future units and grade levels. Let's talk about how you get to the IMCMS resources. We always start in Launchpad, and we can go to Canvas, Math Rocks, the first grade page, and you can find all of the resources there. But when you go to the first grade page, you can also find first grade curriculum supports. We're going to talk about one of those curriculum supports you can find. You scroll down to the mathematics, and you expand the accordions with the little arrow on the right, and you will find Unit 3 PLC Deep Dive. There is a note catcher that you can make a copy of and a video to guide your PLC through a deep dive of Unit 3. Be sure to check these out for each unit. Here's another view of how you can access the resources in Math Rocks. You can go to the CMS Instructional Resources and then Elementary Math Resources. If you're not enrolled in Math Rocks, it'll prompt you to do so. In addition to the note catcher that you will find in Math Rocks, this is an alternate organizer that can be used to unpack standards. This is included on the last slide of your note catcher, so feel free to either use this one or the one that is in your note catcher from Math Rocks. Another place that you can find the unpacking videos in note catcher is in slide 2 of your unit curriculum guides. So every curriculum guide will have a curriculum support page on the second slide to find these supports for you. Speaking of curriculum guides, every unit will have a curriculum guide to help support you with implementation of the unit. Let's talk about what you can find in each curriculum guide. There are several overarching components of the curriculum guide that house very important information. We have curriculum supports, standards, assessments, planning notes, and small groups. Be sure to read specific lesson notes for the 25-26 school year. And on the Math Rocks homepage, you can find a link that looks like this to know when each updated guide to know when each updated curriculum guide will become available, and you will have access to all of the unit resources at that time. Let's jump into Unit 3's curriculum guide on Math Rocks. Okay, if I'm in Launchpad, I am going to go to Canvas and go to Math Rocks. First grade. And I'm going to click on Unit 3. And I'm going to find the curriculum guide. And just like we looked at before, you could find your curriculum supports and all your links there to click on any support you need. Your standards, here's where we have the DPI unpacking document on that sticky note where you can click on it. The standards that will be taught in this unit, and the supporting standards that will show up. In the Assessment tab, be sure to check out each section checklist. You also have standard rubrics. You have the assessment rubric to help you with tasks and what kind of tools to offer, to look at the tasks and how students are solving them. You also have student-facing assessments and exemplary mastery tasks. But be sure to check out the Unit 3 rating guide right in the middle to help you decide on a rating for each standard that is offered in Unit 3. You might note that Unit 3 assessment is a little longer than the assessments that we had in Unit 1 and Unit 2. And there is a note at the bottom of this slide to let you know why. We are covering a lot of OA standards, and this is a lot of major work. But you don't have to offer it all on one day. We're going to look at the year at a glance and talk about some more ideas so you could be flexible about offering the Unit 3 assessment tasks. Then we have some planning notes. Really good information here where we summarize the unit and summarize each section. And then we dive into centers. What centers are offered? And if you click on the button in the middle of the page, you will see the standard alignment for each center, the math flow, and then there are lesson notes that house all of our links for daily lessons, lesson slides, student workbook in case you need to print a student workbook page, and we have our practice problems linked here too. Any materials that you need to prep, but these are very important notes to help you implement each lesson. Be sure to check these out. Then finally, the last section in the curriculum guide are small groups. If you have a big idea students are struggling with, you can find ways to support the current content and resources that you can use when you pull your small groups. And then you can extend the current content if students are mastering that content. So be sure to check out those ideas as well. Let's look at the year at a glance and do some looking ahead. So, Unit 3 starts on October 29th and continues into Quarter 2. And October 29th is towards the very end of Quarter 1. So let's jump into Quarter 2. What are some noticings and wonderings you have about Quarter 2? Some things you might notice and wonder. There are 2 days for the Unit 3 assessment on December 17th and 18th. And then there is a flex day also there. There are also 2 other flex days that can be moved around the quarter. So you might decide to offer some assessment tasks on other days. So if you didn't want to give the full assessment on December 17th and 18th, you can use the 19th. You could use small groups on December 15th and 16th to offer some tasks, but you can plan on spreading it out so that you're not offering all 10 tasks in 1 or 2 days. So talk about that in your PLC. Another thing you could think about is that Unit 4 starts when we come back from winter break. So it could be unpacked on the November 19th early release day, or you can choose another time where you have some extended planning time to unpack Unit 4 with your PLC. You may notice that the middle of year assessment is offered January 12th through the 15th. One thing to note is that the Unit 4 standards will not be included on the middle of the year assessment since students have not had enough time to practice with those. The Unit 4 resources will be available on October 13th in Math Rocks. Tidbits are available every week and provide important upcoming lesson planning information along with just-in-time supports. These can be found in your email and conveniently linked in slide 2 of each curriculum guide. If you do not get the tidbits in your email, check out slide 2 of your curriculum guide of how to fill out the form to be sure that you get the weekly first grade tidbits. After administering the Universal Screener, there are 3 ways to use ERD resources effectively. First, students can follow the platform-created learning pathways outside of the whole group core instructional time to reinforce their current performance levels. The district expectation is that every student completes and passes 45 minutes per week per content area. Second, teachers can assign lessons aligned to on-grade level standards currently being taught in the curriculum. This also is to be completed outside of the whole group core math time. Suggested times for completing activities outside of whole group core instruction include morning work, differentiated core, flex days, homework, or after-school programs. Teachers and master teachers, you have 2 forms in one. You have a QR code and a bit.ly on the left that you will have 5 questions to answer, and then you will press submit. The next bit.ly is for attendance for My Talent, and guidance on how to complete this form is on the right-hand side. Be sure to submit both forms. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and I hope you learned something new about first grade math. Take care.